What if the most responsible person you know isn't strong at all? What if they're a ghost? Not dead, not broken, just absent. A presence without a self. They're the one everyone leans on. The calm one. The dependable one. The person who never seems overwhelmed, never asks for help, never needs reassurance. From the outside, they look admirable. From the inside, they feel hollow, because that level of responsibility doesn't come from wisdom. It comes from necessity, from a time when being fine was the only way to stay connected, if you were forced to grow up too early. This isn't here to inspire you. It's here to explain why you still feel exhausted even in moments when life appears calm. It rarely begins with something dramatic. There's no explosion, no single betrayal that marks the moment. It unfolds quietly, invisibly. You're young, still forming your sense of safety, and the people who should have been your shelter are instead unpredictable, overwhelmed, or emotionally unavailable. Their moods dominate the atmosphere. Their distress becomes the background noise of your childhood. And without language for what's happening, without guidance or protection, something inside you adjusts. You don't think it through. You don't choose it consciously. You simply sense that your needs are inconvenient, that your emotions add weight to an already sinking ship. And so a silent vow forms. I will be the calm. I will not add to the chaos. I will become useful. This is the moment you begin to disappear, not because no one is looking at you, but because no one is truly seeing you. You learn very quickly how to manage yourself. You smile when you're supposed to. You suppress tears before they spill. You become fluent in emotional prediction, reading microshifts in tone, posture, silence. You know when to speak and when to disappear. You know how to keep the peace. And the world responds positively to this adaptation. Adults praise you. Teachers trust you. Others rely on you. You're so mature, they say so responsible, so easy. And each compliment subtly reinforces the same lesson. Who you are without usefulness is irrelevant. No one asks what it costs you to become this way. No one wonders what parts of you had to be buried to earn that approval. This is why we need to talk about the psychology of the person who never got to be a child, because this adaptation doesn't end when childhood does. It solidifies it, becomes structure, a blueprint for how you relate to others and to yourself. It informs what you believe love is supposed to feel like, how do you measure your worth, and what you think you're allowed to need. And when this blueprint goes unexamined, adulthood becomes a repetition. You recreate the same emotional dynamics in different forms, believing familiarity as safety. You rebuild the same internal architecture again and again, mistaking endurance for strength and self-erasure for loyalty. Psychologically, this pattern is known as role reversal. The child is placed implicitly or explicitly into an adult position. They become the emotional stabilizer, the mediator, the one who listens, reassures, and absorbs. This isn't just emotionally taxing. It alters development. The nervous system learns that safety is not inherent, but conditional, something that must be maintained through vigilance and performance. You remain on alert, constantly scanning for potential disruption. Your body stays tense, even when your mind tells you everything is fine. Over time, your own needs begin to feel risky. Asking for comfort feels like a threat. Depending on someone feels unsafe. So you learn to mute yourself. And in that muted space, an identity forms. A performer emerges. You become competent, composed, capable. You anticipate others before they speak. You pride yourself on independence. You rarely complain. This identity earns you admiration, but it also distances you from yourself, because beneath it, a younger version of you is still waiting, frozen in time, still hoping someone will notice the fear you hid so well, still wondering what it would feel like to be cared for without having to earn it, still asking a question that never got answered. Who was ever there for me? As adulthood unfolds, the consequences become more visible. You may struggle deeply with receiving help, even when you need it. You might feel uncomfortable when attention is directed toward you without a task attached. Joy may feel unfamiliar or fleeting, as though it doesn't quite belong to you. Rest can trigger guilt, as if stopping means you're failing at something invisible. You begin to equate productivity with value, exhaustion with virtue. And the most dangerous part is that none of this feels abnormal. It feels like who you are. When chaos is your baseline, calm can feel suspicious. Peace can feel like the moment before something goes wrong. This is not simply sadness. It's the legacy of a stolen childhood, not defined by one traumatic event, but by a chronic absence of safety. A child does not choose this adaptation. They survive into it. A young nervous system will always prioritize attachment over authenticity. It will trade truth for a connection every time. That isn't weakness, it's intelligence. It's the mind doing what it must to stay bonded. But the tragedy is that the same armor that protected you back then eventually becomes the cage that confines you now. So many adults live this way, functioning, admired, respected, yet quietly disconnected. They are the helpers, the fixers, the ones others rely on. They excel in careers and relationships, yet feel strangely alone even in company. They give endlessly, hoping someone will eventually notice and offer care without being asked. That longing to be seen without performing, to be held without being useful is not immaturity. It's the echo of a child who never felt safe enough to rest. Healing does not begin with improvement. It begins with recognition. Until you name what was lost, you will minimize it. You'll compare your story to others and tell yourself it wasn't that bad. You'll insist you're fine now, but fine is just another role. Another layer of the performance, and on some level, you are not that. So what does this child become in adulthood? They become people who feel uneasy in silence, who fill space with usefulness. They become partners who mistrust tenderness, interpreting care as obligation or manipulation. They become givers who flinch when receiving. They apologize for their presence. They deflect compliments. They treat exhaustion as proof of worth. This is the true cost of accelerated maturity. A life spent waiting for permission to stop, to need, to finally exhale. And here is the truth that is both sobering and empowering. No one is coming to rescue that inner child. The moment for rescue has passed, but the moment for return has not. You are the one who must go back for them. You are the one who must say what no one else could. You didn't deserve that. It wasn't your responsibility. You can rest now. This is the heart of inner work. Not positivity, not relentless self-improvement, but the courageous act of turning toward the parts of yourself you had to abandon in order to survive, and offering them presence instead of judgment. This process will hurt because it requires you to finally feel what you were never allowed to feel. The grief, the anger, the loneliness, the moments you were praised for being strong when you were actually scared, the celebrations that felt empty, the protection you provided but never received. That pain is not regression. It is thawing. It is evidence that what was frozen is finally beginning to move. Old survival patterns will still surface. You will catch yourself over-functioning, explaining too much, fearing conflict, mistaking anxiety for intuition. These are not flaws. They are outdated strategies, and strategies can be unlearned. Slowly, gently, with repetition and compassion. Begin by asking yourself a simple, difficult question. What did I need back then that I never got? Listen without rushing to fix the answer. And then, over time, begin offering those things to yourself. This is how you stop searching for caretakers and romantic partners. This is how stillness becomes safe. This is how the war between the child you were and the adult you are finally ends. Healing is not becoming someone new. It is remembering who you were before you learned to disappear. There will be days you feel small again. Vulnerable, uncertain. That is not failure. That is reintegration. You are not falling apart. You are coming back together, this time with choice, with awareness, with truth. Your childhood was not yours to shape, but your future is. That authorship belongs entirely to you. If this gave language to something you've carried silently, please like this video. It helps these words reach others who were never allowed to need. Thank you for being here.